While there are significant differences between these versions and insights worth examining, I want to focus on the most incriminating details. In the first version, an unnamed angel nearly pressed the life out of Mohammed. In the second, Gabriel is said to have kept Mohammed from jumping to his death. In the third, Gabriel is named again, but he does not appear until after Mohammed is comforted in Khadija's bed. Yet the Qur'an says nothing of Gabriel during the first 12 years of Muhammad's mission. We are not introduced until the first surah in Yathrib, which was the 91st chronologically. Since Muhammad alleges that Gabriel was the source of his godly revelation, these inconsistencies devastate his credibility. That said, I'd like to share the most esteemed version of Islam's initial revelation. It's a bit more colorful and comes courtesy of Ishaq's biography, compiled 100 years before the other sources.
Aisha said that when Allah desired to honor Muhammad, the first sign of prophethood was a vision in brightness of day shown to him in his sleep.
In other words, he was dreaming.
He liked nothing better than to be alone. When he left Mecca, there was no house in sight. Every stone and tree that passed by said, "Peace be unto you, Allah's apostle." Muhammad would turn around and see naught but trees and stones.
In other words, he was stoned.
He stayed seeing and hearing things as long as it pleased Allah. Then Gabriel came to him with the gift of Allah's grace,
the spiritual beating,
while he was on Hira in the month of Ramadan. The apostle would pray in seclusion on Hira every year for a month to practice the Tahannuth, as was the custom of the Quraysh in the heathen days.
In other words, Muhammad was heathen, and the Islamic pillar requiring Ramadan fasting was pagan.
Tahannuth is religious devotion
to pagan idols.
After praying in seclusion, he would walk around the Kaaba 7 times.
The centerpiece of the Hajj pillar is pagan as well.
Ishaq. The prophet set out to Hira with his family. When it was night, Gabriel brought him the command of Allah. He came to me, the apostle said, while I was sleeping, with a coverlet of brocade whereon was some writing, and said, "Read." I said, "What shall I read?" He pressed me so tightly that I was near death. Then he let me go and said, "Read."
This happens twice more. Then,
when I thought I was nearly dead, I said, "What shall I read?" only to deliver myself from him, lest he should do the same thing to me again. He said, "Read in the name of your Lord, who created man of blood coagulated. Read, your generous Lord taught by the pen."
Then the illiterate man said,
"So I read it." And he departed from me. I woke from my sleep. These words were written on my heart.
Ishaq reports,
"None of Allah's creatures was more hateful to me than an ecstatic poet or a man possessed. I thought, woe is me, I am a possessed poet."
The worst thing that can befall a man or woman is to be possessed by the devil. He or she loses all sense of decency. To his credit, Muhammad recognized what had happened. To his shame, he damned 3 billion souls along with his own.
Ishaq. I will go to the top of the mountain and throw myself down that I may kill myself and be at rest.
There was no doubt in his mind. During the violent encounter with the spirit in the darkness of that cave, Muhammad had been possessed by the devil. He wanted to commit suicide, something that Satan could not allow. He had big plans for his prophet.
Ishaq. So I climbed to the mountain to kill myself when I heard a voice saying, "Muhammad, you are Allah's apostle." I raised my head to see who was speaking, and lo, I saw Gabriel in the form of a man, with feet astride the horizon.
How, pray tell, would our terrified and possessed poet distinguish between Gabriel and Lucifer? And since the first revelation was sinister, that's a problem.
Bukhari. The prophet said, "A good dream is from Allah, and a bad dream is from Satan."
By his own account, this was a bad dream.
Ishaq. I stood gazing at him, and that distracted me from committing suicide. I couldn't move. Khadija sent her messengers in search of me, and they gained the high ground above Mecca. So I came to her and sat by her thigh. She said, "O Abu al-Qasim, where have you been?" I said, "Woe is me, I am possessed." She said, "I take refuge in Allah. Allah would not treat you that way. This cannot be, my dear. Perhaps you did see something."
Khadija said, wheels of commerce turning in her head.
"Yes, I did," I said.
Playing along.
I told her of what I had seen.
While I was asleep.
She said, "Rejoice, son of my uncle, and be of good cheer. Verily, by him in whose hand is Khadija's soul, I have hope that you will be the prophet to this people."
With that, the profitable prophet plan was born.
She gathered her garments and went to her cousin Waraqa bin Nufal,
The Hanif,
who had become a Christian. He read the scriptures and learned from those who followed the Torah and the Gospels.
Tabari provides some additional insights.
He went to Khadija and said, "I think I have gone mad." "No, by Allah," she said, "your Lord would never do that to you. You have never committed a wicked act." Khadija went to Waraqa and told him what had happened. He said, "If what you have said is true, your husband is a prophet." After this, Gabriel did not come to him for a while, and Khadija said, "I think that your Lord must hate you."
This is followed by yet one more variant.
Tabari. In the beginning of the messenger's prophetic mission, he used to spend a month every year in religious retreat on Hira. This was part of the practice of the Tahannuth, in which the Quraysh used to engage during the Jahiliyyah. Tahannuth means self-justification.
That's intriguing. Mohammed practiced a Jahiliyyah ritual rite, an ignorant pre-Islamic form of pagan worship. What's more, the very definition of Tahannuth, self-justification, became synonymous with the Prophet's personal agenda. So much for Muhammad's claim of being prevented from doing any pagan act by Allah. Islam began in the midst of a pagan ritual.